Hi, I'm Ezra Koppel of TorahExchange.com. Parashat Devarim, of course, is the start of Sefer Devarim. Yet Sefer Devarim is utterly unique from the rest of the Torah. The first four Sefarim of the Torah, namely Bereshis, Shmos, Vayikra, and Bamidbar, deal with many different stories across many different years, but Devarim is just one story. It's Moshe giving his speech to Bnei Israel upon entering Eretz Israel when he's not going to be with them anymore. There are many different interpretations for what the point of the Sefer is, why Moshe has to give this speech and why it has to be codified in the Torah. Yet, there are many different reasons for why that could be. Let's take a more mainstream approach to begin with, the Ramban. The Ramban believes that the reason for Sefer Devarim is threefold. One, is to rebuke the nation for the sins that they've done. Two, it's to inform them of new mitzvos that they're being given that have not yet been taught to the earlier generation. And three, it's to reiterate mitzvos to the new generation entering Eretz Israel, who were not there on Har Sinai when Moshe gave over the other mitzvos. So, according to the Ramban, you have three very good reasons for why there should be a new Sefer and Moshe should be giving over a speech to the incoming generation. Yet there is a much more interesting and compelling approach, which is that of the Abravanel. The Abravanel, also known as the Abarbanel to some, is a Portuguese Rishon from the 1400s, the 15th century. And he believes that the pasuk in Perek Aleph, pasuk Hey of this week's parsha, that says, Hoya Moshe be'er es haTorah azos lemor, be'er meaning explain, that Moshe is explaining the Torah. The Torah is already given over, all the mitzvahs have already been taught, and Moshe is merely explaining everything. And those mitzvahs that have already been stated, he's not restating, he's bringing in new examples and explaining what has already been known to Bnei Israel now. And some examples of mitzvahs that clearly come up for the first time in Devarim are Shluach HaKan, Yibum, Isha Sifas Toar, and many more. Yet, for each one, the Abravanel has an approach, an answer, and a reason for how this has already been alluded to, if not stated, earlier on in the Torah. And one example of this that I found was when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Ve'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha. Ve'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha, we don't see anywhere else in Torah. That only comes up here in Sefer Devarim. Yet the Abravanel has a very interesting approach for how to deal with this and how to explain this as saying that we're only explaining a mitzvah that has already been stated. He says, Ukvar niskara b'mash avar mitzvahs ha'ahava es Hashem yisbarach b'mash tziva b'parshas mishpatim v'avatem es Hashem Elokeichem. We've already explained that we should love Hashem, and we've been commanded to love Hashem from the fact that there was a mitzvah in Parshas Mishpatim to serve Hashem. Ki ha'avoda elav yisbarach hi me'ahava oso. Because the only way you're going to serve is from love to Hashem. And it's the approach like this that really brings the Sefer to light. And he's saying that Mishnah Torah, as we call Devar, as Chazal calls Devarim, is more than just repeating Torah. It's the first actual commentary on the Torah. And it's really a mind-blowing deviation from the norm, like the Ramban's deal. And it goes to show that even though there are many geniuses who came before the Abravanel, he was still able to approach Devarim with a new mindset and a new theory and bring it to light and go deep and deep and deep and never stop until he has a fully fleshed out approach where he tackles every single question raised against him, and he thinks his own thoughts and doesn't just rely on the thoughts that came before him. And I think that's a lesson that we should all learn from. I would like to thank Rabbi Matt Schneeweiss for posting a blog about this approach of the Abravanel and Devarim, who inspired me to tell this over and this topic, and the examples that I've given, some come from Rabbi Schneeweiss himself. Thank you.